Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From pixel legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
And then add just a touch of flour, just a pinch, because if you add too much, then it's going to become light and fluffy, and you don't want that. You want to have it to have a firm consistency. After you add that, make sure that you add C11H12 N2 NaO2S, and you want to put that a lot. You want to put a lot of that in, because the more that you put in, the more the person is going to tell you how they truly like it or not.
That's amazing.
It is absolutely. And make sure to bake it at 375 degrees for 25 and a half minutes, flipping over every other 30 seconds.
That sounds so amazing. That sounds so good.
I happen to have it here. Would you like to try it? Here, take a sample.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
It's so good. It's really, really, really good. Oh, thank you. By the way, everybody, welcome to Delicious Dish. And
yes,
I'm pretending to eat. Which is actually a bit of a tell us you're stuff in your mouth when there's actually nothing in there.
Are you lying, Ben, that you're not eating?
Really lying. Dude, I'm on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast. How the hell?
Okay, dude. You know, already. Do you know what C11H12 NaO2S is?
Poison?
No, sodium pentothal. That's true serum.
It is a kind of poison. Yeah, okay.
I guess you could say it depends on who administers it. Like an ex-girlfriend, here you go. Now tell me, did you ever think of my best friend and my sister together?
I'm like, well, yeah, because there was that one time that they were together. Remember me and you walked in and you were like, oh my God, and covered your face and didn't notice that I didn't cover mine.
Wow. With that, welcome to the episode. We're gonna have an interesting episode tonight. We got to do. By the way, we got to go over. Even though we did this last week, we still got to go over it because it's the end of the month. The schedule for next month, the March schedule.
Yes, we'll be billboarding that as well as many other things. I have a little bit of TV trivia that I learned this week, which I thought was kind of interesting. And
we're also going to clear something up.
That and more. But first, let's talk about our sponsor. We don't have one. So if you would like to be our sponsor.
This we don't have a sponsor is brought to you by Rallies.
Which is a grocery store that seems to only be in your part of the world.
Yes. and seems to be mispronounced every single time.
Yes. Where I have like Stop and Shop. Do you have Stop and Shop?
No, I don't think we do.
Yeah, that's like based out of Boston, and they're kind of going out of business. If ShopRite, kind of.
We don't shop right here. We shop very wrong.
Yeah,
we don't have that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the grocery stores are closing, and then I think like Walmart's opening. They're gonna try doing grocery stores again. They had one for a while, it didn't work well. I think it's because it was like down the road from like two other grocery stores.
That's crazy because our Walmarts have groceries in them like crazy.
No, this was a separate store that just did groceries.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, the nice part was though, if you did go and buy stuff from regular Walmart, you could bring your returns there because
there you go. Nice.
They're technically the same store. So
they're like, we can't do anything with it here, but sure, bring it right back.
Well, yeah, because they'll just bring it, because the one that we had was in Bristol, and it was down the road from an actual Walmart. Like when I say down the road, I mean like a couple, like a mile or two down the road from it. So like if you return it, I'm sure that they had like a courier who just went back and forth, like bringing returns from one to the other.
It might not even be that. It might just become a chargeback because I've dealt with greeting cards a while back, and when they get damaged or anything happen whatsoever, there'd be a chargeback, and they get the store would get like a credit and everything like that. So it could be the same situation.
It depends on what the product is. I would imagine, like if it's a TV versus a greeting card. Yeah, I mean like a greeting card. number one, green cards are what the markup is insane anyways. Like it really costs that much money to make one of these fucking things now. It does. It doesn't even come close to what they're charging. But so do you want to talk? Do you want to regurgitate first, or do you want?
Well, we got to do the schedule first.
Oh, you would do schedule first. I'll
Schedule.
So here's what's coming up in the magical month of March.
So yes, March is going to be a 5-episode month, starting with March 1st. Part 2, favorite game villains. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. I really like that one. And next up for March 8th, we have the Daylight Savings Extravaganza movie reviews. We're going to talk about Edge of Tomorrow, Back to the Future, Groundhog Day, Butterfly Effect, Time Cop, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Oh yeah, that's really tickling me where it needs to be. So I don't know what they all have in common, but they probably have something in common because that's kind of how we think. So
do a time travel, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. So next up, March 15th is Customer Depreciation Week. Bad service that we received. I've got a lot of that, baby. So that's where we're going to talk about those experiences we had that obviously weren't 5-star reviews. After that is March 22nd. We are doing more movie reviews, which is Take It Not to the Ring movie reviews. We have lined up so far Suburban Commando, The Marine, The Condemned, The Princess Bride, and Thunder in Paradise. Oh yeah, pin me right down. So we'll get those going and see how those movies turn out. And then finally on March 29th, we had a blunder last time we did this, but we put that blunder in the blender and we came out with something new, which actually is interesting because usually at the end of the month, we end with a game topic. This time we're not going to do that. We're going to be talking about like authors, books, written media, whatever that we enjoy or had some sort of an experience with. Oh yeah, you could read me like a book, baby. So let's just see how that one goes.
I'm glad you're having a good time.
I'm having a fantastic time. So that's our schedule. So mark that all on your calendar so you're all ready for it.
Yes, it's going to be an amazing month of March.
And for that, we are moving on. It is time for a You Speak, We Regurgitate.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is where we take a comment and we respond to it. However, this time, we're going to be taking a lot of comments around one specific video that went up. That says
right, Ogo 13, our most popular video ever.
Yes, exactly.
It is totally the opposite. Okay.
So let's talk about these comments that you guys left on the Transformers animated movie. I'm going to go ahead and read off a few. I'm not even going to read the names. I'm just going to read the comments. First comment that shows up, Galvatron and Rodimus Prime are cooler. That's stupid. The response back is rage bait, bud. Everybody knows the best Prime is Solus. We're not even going to get into Solus, okay? So everybody knows, and that's what he stopped at. We're just going to stop there. Also on that is never trust someone who thinks Rodimus Prime is cooler than Optimus Prime. And then you go over, that's on the short version. Then you go over to the full, or not the full version, the widescreen version, and you get, what blasphemy is that you wanted Bumblebee to die? Let's talk about these now. Let me discuss these. And I want to be clear on something. I saw this movie for the first time in the theaters when I was about 8 years old. I saw it with Matt, who is about 9 years old. And I didn't shed a tear, and Matt didn't shed a tear at all through the whole movie. Now, is this me rage baiting just for numbers, comments, or whatever? It's not actually. I'm being fully honest on what I said. Now, what I find interesting in this is that I realize that nobody gives a crap about Starscream and Ironhide, because I mentioned them too, and they just blew those off. It was all about Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Rodimus Prime, and Galvatron. So we're gonna work.
If any of them I would be upset about, I actually was upset about Starscream.
That's crazy.
The Starscream was like my favorite character because he was I think because I liked him because he was such a pain in the ass.
That's going to go into why I've. Okay, I'm just going to break this down here. Now, I understand everyone has different opinions. I understand the opinion of Optimus Prime. Good. Most people like him. I didn't. And I'm going to talk about why I didn't like these characters. Let's start with the two that nobody cared about. Starting with the one that obviously nobody at all cared about, which is Ironhide. I could not take Ironhide because he always wanted to bust some Deceptichops. I don't know what it was about that Deceptichops, but it really irritated the crap out of me.
So you don't like the Duke John Wayne?
Exactly. Thank you. That's where we're going. That's actually going to be interesting because we're going to be kind of getting back to that. That's a good way to put it. And no, I don't like that.
Because that's pretty much what he was, partner. He was just John Wayne as an Autobot.
And he was voiced by Peter Cullen. And we're going to get back to that in a second. So yeah, that's my hatred towards Ironhide, is always about busting Deceptichops. Starscream. Starscream was the voice of Cobra Commander, which I don't know who did those voices.
A stand-up comedian, and that's like, I think he might have been like the only voice work he ever did, as far as I know. I'm going off of memory here, and if I'm completely wrong, please put it in the comments.
Starscream, the reason why I didn't like Starscream all has everything to do with that voice actor, because I didn't like Cobra Commander either. Until Cobra Commander until we got to the movie thing, we got to Serpentor, which ironically, I will say Serpentor was cooler than Cobra Commander, which will probably make some people upset as well too, but that's just my feelings. So, yeah, the 10-minute one or 10-hour one or however long it is. But Starscream was also ruined because of this, ruined every single scene he was in. I like the other two jets. I like Skywarp a lot. I like Thundercracker a lot. I just don't want to see Starscream, because the moment I hear his voice, I want to stab a chopstick through one eardrum until it goes out the other, because his voice is that bad to me. So seeing him die was just, it was like peace and calm, serenity came over me. So that's
not to get, this isn't political. This is RFK Jr. Have you ever heard him speak?
I don't know if I have.
Okay, well, I won't play it on the air, but I'm gonna say, like, listen to him speak, and then ask yourself, is he better or worse than Starscream?
I'll have to do that.
Okay.
And I'd like to point out that as I'm looking at these comments, I just noticed I see Casa performs Temple a lot. Okay, that's awesome. Casa's awesome. I just want to point that out. And I'm sorry I have not done a Bloomin' News recently. I've been on the verge of doing them, but I haven't felt like I've gotten enough information to do a full one, but there is something big coming. Anyway, I'm not talking about that anymore. I'm still on Transformers. Now we need to go to the two big ones. Let's start with, what blasphemy is it that you wanted Bumblebee to die? Let's talk about Bumblebee. Because there's two Bumblebees. There's Bumblebee, the Michael Bay movie version, and there's the original Bumblebee. And they're vastly different. And they're vastly different to the point where if you would switch Ironhide and Ratchet, vastly different. Because Bumblebee in the Michael Bay movies is a warrior. Bumblebee in the cartoons is a liability. Bumblebee did not carry any sort of a gun. He did not fight. All he did was drive into battle, and he was like, it's like going into World War III and saying, okay, you guys are the front line. You're going to be the infantry in the trenches. You guys are going to be the back pulling up with the tanks, and you squad over there. You guys are the cheerleaders. It's absolutely not necessary to have Bumblebee. And on top of that, Bumblebee would drive, I believe was it Spike was the name of the human that he'd drive. He'd drive Spike. So he's a liability driving a liability into battle. So I didn't see a point on ever having him in the show. And that's why I didn't mind him dying, because it's not going to change anything.
But they didn't kill him because he's always been a very popular character.
Which is and I think the reason why he's a very popular character because he was a very cheap toy to buy.
No, it's because he turned into a Volkswagen bug and people like bugs.
That's another point too.
No, that's the only reason, because I mean, like, even when you're watching the cartoon, no one ever like, oh, Bumblebee's my favorite character. If I was an Autobot, I'd be just like Bumblebee. It's like, no, I wanted to be Shockwave. So, so I'm like, or be like Megatron, or be like any of the Decepticons. They could fly, and they had cooler weapons, and they didn't turn into a car.
I gotta say, Blitzwing and Astro Train right here represent.
Yeah, there we go, triple changers. I mean, who the hell wants to be Bumblebee is the point.
Heck, be six shot. He's a six tuple changer.
Or you could Ultra Magnus, or you could be
Ultra Magnus sucks. Sorry, I have to say Ultra Magnus sucks.
Yeah, you got this. But if you're a Boy Scout, maybe you like him. What was the one? Omega Supreme.
Yeah, there you go. The base thing.
Yeah, he turned into a rocket base. Yep. Which is cool because he turned into a rocket base, and then the rocket took off and went to another planet, and then his rocket base somehow magically reappeared for him to land in.
That's awesome.
Which is they call that the pocket. Did you ever hear? You watch Secret Galaxy? You probably heard about this. They have the thing called the pocket that they have in the Transformers universe to explain where all their extra gear goes.
Yeah, like Optimus Prime's trailer.
Yeah, like where does it go? Oh, it goes into the pocket. What's the pocket? The Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's move on to Optimus Prime, because even going into the Transformers movie, I didn't like Optimus Prime. I had the toy actually of Optimus Prime. I didn't mind having the toy. It was kind of cool having the toy because he was the leader. I just didn't like him as a leader. And it all comes down to the voice actor, which I will say is a legendary voice actor. But just like Ironhide, Optimus Prime, to me, had this Wild West feel in the way that he talked. And also the way that he stood, too. Like, the way his legs had this, like, arch to them that was really weird. He felt very Wild West to me. And he
also was an archetype of John Wayne.
Yeah,
both him and Ironhide were just like different sides of John, the greatest actor of all time, John Wayne, in his multiple characters.
Yeah. So that's the style.
Sarcasm, by the way.
That's the style that I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's why that I never could really get into Optimus Prime, because of the way the voice actor did his character. But I sit here and say that Pierre Cullen's a really good voice actor, and he has a memorable voice, and there's a reason why it is, because it's a very strong voice, a very present voice.
And he's beloved. People fought for him to be in the live action movie, and it was between him and Frank Welker doing Megatron, and people picked Peter Cullen, and I'm like, how about all of them?
Exactly. You want all of them.
Yeah. Why am we only getting one? What is this consolation prize bullshit? That means that you're taking stuff away from us.
So now let's address the Optimus Prime versus Rodimus Prime and Megatron versus Galvatron. Starting with Megatron versus Galvatron, and this is strictly a style thing. Well, no, I take that back. No, the other one's style. This one is more style and personality. I don't dislike Megatron. Never did I say that I hate Megatron. Seeing him die I was fine with. Because I felt like we got somebody that had a more sleek look to them, a more polished, clean look to them, a more sinister look to them, and also kind of a more sinister personality, especially because he's in a situation where he's stuck in this kind of blackmail type of a situation. And he feels a lot more evil than Megatron. Megatron felt a little bit more just straightforward villain to me. And the design of Megatron is a little bit more blocky. And he has this weird like helmet on that always looked to me like a girl's bob cut or something. So I don't know. So, but I actually don't mind Megatron, and I think that Frank Welker is an amazing voice actor, like phenomenal, probably like the best voice actor. So Megatron and Galvatron, that's their situation. Rodimus Prime and Optimus is actually fully style. Optimus Prime is a boring, blocky truck. Rodimus Prime has a more sleek, futuristic look to him. In addition, this was a kind of a good coming-of-age story for Hot Rod 2 Rodimus Prime, because you have the teenage acting Hot Rod that matures into Rodimus Prime, but he still maintains that Hot Rod type of a rebellious, dangerous feel to him. That Optimus Prime was like the uncool dad that you didn't want to visit your friend to run into.
I preferred Hot Rod over Rodimus Prime because Hot Rod was a sports car and Rodimus Prime was a camper.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that too. I thought Hot Rod was more interesting as Hot Rod than Rodimus Prime.
But it feeds into what you were talking about, where it shows his maturity, like how he grew as a character and matured. This is like part 2 of a review of the movie, I guess, where he matures as a character, because here he goes, like when you're young, you want the sports car, but then when you get a family and you have responsibilities, now you need the camper.
Yeah, exactly. You got the family.
Yeah, you got the family. All right.
So there you go. So this is not because I want numbers. This is honest truth, and I just laid it out to you.
Yeah, that we like. I mean, granted, and I've explained this in the past, where I will pick like the I guess juicier things to throw into the 1-minute preview of our review. So there is a reason why that stuff was in there, is because I knew it would piss people off, and I'm actually, I'm glad that people are, being kind about it. There was one in there where they're like insulting us, and I'm like, I don't like that. That's like, dude, you can go and like make your point. Say why you like Rodimus, why you prefer Optimus over Rodimus or whatever, but don't be like, you guys are, a bunch of assholes or whatever. Like we don't need that. We're not calling you names. What's that?
It's just a cartoon.
Exactly. It's just a cartoon. It's I'm. If you have your whole life devoted to this one cartoon, then unless you work for them, maybe reevaluate things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I like multiple things. I don't put everything into anything. I mean, yeah, I've more pushed towards wrestling, but that has to do with the fact that I know wrestling DVDs are probably going to go up in value, so I've been collecting them. But it's I don't know. Anywho, I learned some interesting stuff this week.
Let's see what you learned.
She doesn't listen to this, so I can go and say it. For my mother's birthday, usually as gifts for her, I will buy her DVD box sets of some of her favorite TV shows. Not all the time. This is mostly like just once in a while, like if I can't think of anything else. So I got her I Dream of Jeannie on Blu-ray. And it's just an upconvert. There's actually a better version that just came out, but it's also like $100. This was $28. Anywho, it got me down the rabbit hole of I Dream of Jeannie. I watched a little bit of it, just to remember the show. And I used to watch it when I was a kid. And I also used to watch Bewitched. These two shows have a very similar premise. It's about a magic woman and her husband or boyfriend, depending on what show you're watching. And
All women are magic.
Oh yeah, Woman and Her Magic.
All women are magic, dude.
Okay, sure. So they could do magic stuff though. Like one of them, she's a genie, and the other one is a witch. So they could do magic stuff. The point is this: Bewitched came out, and because Bewitched, its first season was such a success for ABC, NBC wanted to come up with they wanted a show to compete with it. So they picked up I Dream of Jeannie the following year. Both shows were black and white, but once they saw how good the shows did against each other, and then I say against each other, they were both on Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't watch I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched. You had to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was such a heated thing. And like when I say heated thing, I mean to the viewers. Behind the scenes, both of these shows were recorded on the same movie lot. They were stated on the same TV lot. They were literally from the same production company. Barbara Eden and Elizabeth Montgomery knew each other. They were friendly with each other. I don't know if they were the best of friends, but they weren't enemies is the point. There was like, oh, there's a whole thing and they hate each other. They know. At the time, that was like supposed to be the drama because both these shows are very similar and are on at the same time on two competing networks. And I just thought that was so interesting that because back in the day, like they didn't have it like today, where both shows are on at the same time. You're like, well, I'll just watch my favorite one live at the showing and I'll watch the other one afterwards. You had to pick one.
Yeah.
Do you want the genie with her boyfriend where there's the constant sexual chemistry, but will they, won't they, and then they finally do and it ruins the show? Or do you want the one where it's the established married couple where they have a child and the mother-in-law, except that she's also a witch and so is the mother-in-law and so is the child. And oh, by the way, they changed husbands halfway through because the first guy got sick. It's just, I thought it was interesting to learn that this week that, and it wasn't for the whole run of post shows, but for like at least a season, they literally competed head to head.
Okay.
And as a viewer back then, I mean, that must have sucked. Especially if you like both shows, because like, they're similar enough where the same type of person is going to be into both programs probably. Unless you were just into Barbara Eden for Barbara Eden.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've seen I Dream of Jeannie and you see what she wears in 1965, you don't see that on television anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I understand. You would now.
Yeah.
And that would be now family programming.
Yes. Well, it was family programming because the way they presented it, they never kissed. There was no, the sexual tension was so like a light thing. Like it was like they never like it wasn't like today's shows where they'll go and say like, I really want to fuck you, but I can't.
Well, I mean,
it would be so little hinted at that the audience would kind of put it together. But if you're a kid, you're not putting it together.
Yeah. Nowadays, I mean, it was I Dream of Jeannie back then. Nowadays, it'd be called I Grind My Genie.
So some sad stuff about it. After the show ended, after I Dream of Jeannie ended, they found it cheaper to burn the set than to figure out what else to do with it. So they had everybody come to the set and get whatever they wanted out of it because it's going to get burned anyway. So what do they care? And they said that Barbara Eden, the only thing that she got out of it was a hat and she got the bottle. And she donated the bottle to the Smithsonian Museum.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go to the Smithsonian Museum and among seeing stuffed astronauts used and the pen that the president used to sign something or other and all this other great stuff, you could find the bottle that I Dream of Jeannie used. Which I think it's still a cool thing, but it's just like, it's so funny when you think about like, out of all the other stuff that'll be at this museum, I'm sure you are never going to go to this museum just to go see the I Dream of Jeannie bottle. But if you do go, maybe make it part of the tour.
And you have to point out that this was a different time. They didn't have eBay back then where they could just sell the set. Like you could sell like a pair of Jim Carrey's crusty underwear on eBay and get a couple $1,000s for it.
Also,
you can't do that back then.
This is before the reruns happened. And the show was like, okay, it did all right. It never did as well as Bewitched did. It never really, I don't think it like did as well as, like it did well enough. Let's put it that way. But it was never like, oh, this show is a classic, and they probably didn't think that. But then when they put it in reruns, and then because the same production company owned Bewitched, when they went into reruns, they aired them together.
So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of foreshadowing for a couple weeks away. Ben, I got a question for you.
What?
What's a rerun?
A rerun is the name of a character from a TV show called I forget the name of it, from the 70s. No, when you they take a TV show and they re-air the episode.
So what we're learning right now is Ben's gonna learn why this was foreshadowing in a couple weeks on our special daylight savings extravaganza. People, we'll revisit that one again in a couple weeks.
What, rerun?
What's a rerun?
What's a rerun? Oh, what's a rerun? Oh, you mean it in a different way of rerunning your day? Yes.
No.
What?
I'm like super heartbroken right now.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a little lost here.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is where.
Oh! From Back to the Future. Yes, dude.
Oh my gosh, man.
I'm sorry, dude. I wasn't thinking about that. I'm thinking about Bewitched. I drifted TV.
I feel like I've just been stabbed through the heart. Now I know what Optimus Prime felt like when they took out the matrix of leadership and he turned gray.
Or he took it out, and then Ultra Madness drops it, and then somehow, and he puts it in his chest, and then he takes it out of his chest to put it back into his chest again. I user understood that. I'm like, why is he? Is he adjusting it? What's going on here? You don't need to adjust it. This is a cartoon, dude. Just go with it.
And I love how it gets dropped, and then all of a sudden, when Hot Rod touches it, from out of nowhere, you got the touch.
Also, it starts lighting up and everything, and it's like, well, if you guys can't tell where this thing's supposed to go,
yeah,
it's telling you.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to this guy.
Hot Revolver, Ultra Magnus. It glows when I hold it, but when you hold it, it doesn't do crap. Let me put it inside my chest, and maybe that'll warm it up.
Oh, it didn't do anything. Let me take it back out and put it back in. No, it still ain't doing it. Do they all have like a hole in their chest just for that? And they're just that, yes. Oh. Including RC.
Yeah, like, that's what I was wondering. Does RC have a holder chest?
Does she open her boob or boobs? Does she have boobs?
Or is it the other chance for can I open it for you, RC?
What's the one that she's boyfriends with? Springer. Springer's like,
yeah.
Like, come on, RC. Let me see if you can have the matrix of leadership. He's like,
RC. I'm a triple changer, 3 different positions.
You know what they say? Once you go trip, you never go back. Does that mean if we break up, I'll be with Astro Trains? Like, who knows? Further down the line, they've broken up, and all of a sudden, like, RC switched sides, and she's with Astro Train now.
That's true. Or she goes for Astro Train and Blitzwing. I mean, that's 6 in 1 right there.
Yes, she becomes like a Decepticon whore.
Wow. All right. So poor RC.
Galvatron shits on her head. But enough about the WWE. Dude, there's people who want them to bring back Vince McMahon. And story-wise, or anything-wise, no. Just bring in somebody else. This has to do with, you can only have so much creativity before you need to take a break.
Yeah.
And they've hit that point. That's all. Take him out and put somebody in for 2 years, and then they'll be out of ideas, and then you bring him back. And then he'll have 2 more years of ideas.
Yep.
It's like tilling soil. You gotta once in a while, you gotta give a bit of the soil a break.
Yes.
All right.
So I used to watch the tugboat. What was that dude? The death rattle guy. Star Trooper Doom. What was that dude's name?
Shockmaster.
Shockmaster, yes. You gotta bring the Shockmaster back.
Oh, when you said tugboat, that is the same guy.
Yes, I know that. I just didn't know. And you know what they could do is they could give him like the Scream mask this time with diamonds on it.
What's so cool with like Sora and stuff is that people are trying to recreate like great moments in wrestling like on Sora, and like it's so cool how close a lot of people get,
Uh-huh.
and then sometimes it's just way off. And now they have a new option where you could do stuff on ice. So now I'm like trying to remember like stuff in history that I could put on ice.
Uh-huh.
When I say like on ice, I mean like Disney on ice. I don't mean like
Okay, I thought you were talking about like ICE immigration.
No, you could do that too though. You could have it where I've literally had videos made where ICE is like raiding a school.
Wow.
It just let me do it. I don't know why. It has all these guardrails, but for some reason, if you do an ICE prompt, it just lets it go.
And you know, that's kind of the problem with today is that it used to be I'll believe it when I see it, and now I can see it. I still can't believe it.
Well, you get these AI videos. You know, there's websites that will take the watermark off.
Yeah.
It won't like blur it. It will literally take the watermark away, and then it will not look like it won't look like an AI video anymore. And Sora is so good at this stuff. I have Sora, I have Google, and I just played a little bit with Kling. And I still think that Sora's the best one. Sora, I kind of gets more of what I'm trying to do versus Flow. But Flow, the watermark is at the lower right-hand corner, and I could easily get rid of it. Where Sora, there's watermarks everywhere. So if I'm doing something for professional work, I have to do it.
Really, dude. Are you saying that Progressive has their own AI now?
No, a Flow with a W. That's not Flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure because that's creepy. Although I did like the Progressive commercials, and I did like a couple of the characters in the commercials.
Oh man, what a genius move she did. She probably never thought that she would get this kind of run off of that. She was a stand-up comedian. Okay one, I guess. I listened to her act. It was, Anyways, she gets this job, and it's supposed when you get an acting job for a commercials usually run for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then they get a whole new commercial. Her stuff was
she ran for 3 decades.
She's been doing 3 decades is a bit of a push, but yeah, but like 12, 13, 14 years, like basically since back when people were saying gotta get cable internet, and then we're all getting fiber. She's had a long career with that and made a lot of money, and as long as those commercials keep running, she keeps getting paid.
Well, the other thing is the Verizon guy who then became, I think, the Sprint guy, the Can You Hear Me Now guy. He evidently was like an employee of Verizon. So it's just like, here you go, be in this commercial. And he was in it, and then it just took off.
You remember there used to be Kevin Butler, the vice president of something or other over at Sony. He was a fake character that did all these Sony ads for the PlayStation 3.
I don't know him. I don't know those ads.
Oh, yeah, he had these things. So he was like the senior vice president of something or other. He introduced himself in the first ad, and then after that, they kind of just figured that you know who this guy is. And he was a fake executive from PlayStation. And he kind of used him when they lowered the price of the PlayStation down to $299. He was like the big spokesperson for that. And it was funny because he'd be walking around the office saying, like, I don't know why people keep thinking that we have big news to announce. And it would say PlayStation now $299 everywhere. And he was kind of doing like Leslie Nielsen type of thing where he's oblivious to the fact that there's signs everywhere. And he's like, there's nothing going on. Like he's trying to play it down like there's nothing happening. Like there's nothing to see here with the fireworks. He's doing that with PlayStation signage. And it was funny and people liked it. So he ended up doing a whole bunch of commercials. And then one day, there's a Nintendo ad for Mario Kart. And lo and behold, who shows up in the ad? The same actor. That's what Sony stopped the very next day, running Kevin Butler ads.
Yep, that's it.
So you want
Trader.
the Verizon guy going over to Sprint. And the thing is, the guy who played Kevin Butler, he didn't even realize what he did until he got in trouble for it. He didn't do it on purpose. He's just an actor taking jobs.
Yeah.
But I think they interviewed him, and I'm sure he regrets it because those Kevin Butler ads ran for like over a year, and there was multiple ads that he was in playing the same character. He could have ran that thing till today. and because he was on a Nintendo ad, that fucked the whole thing. So,
all right, Jim, we got to get started. We're almost 40 minutes in.
I know.
Let's get to the main topic. Ben, you get to throw it out today.
All right. The main topic today is, you ever play a game, and even though it's like maybe it's like it was originally in the arcade, but you're playing it at home and you actually just prefer the home version of it, and you shouldn't, because it's an inferior system in your eyes, but it's just better at home? Or it could be the opposite way around. Usually we probably shouldn't do the opposite way around with the arcade.
We are going to be the opposite way around.
Are we? Okay, or the opposite way around, where the home version sucks and it's just better in the arcade because maybe you like spending money and having a joystick in your hand. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And the main inspiration for this has to go back to Final Fight CD. Final Fight, even though the Final Fight arcade version had slightly better graphics and bigger, it was more of the arcade version had more of the arcade feel to it. The Final Fight CD game had way better music because of the CD format, and it had enough of the arcade stuff to make up for the fact that it wasn't as pretty. So that was my inspiration for this topic. So yeah, I do, like, if I were to pick up Final Fight. If I were to pick up Final Fight, I would pick up the PlayStation, or I would pick up the Sega CD version to play over the arcade version.
Well, what would be missing from the Final Fight CD version that's in the arcade version?
The arcade version just looks nicer.
Oh, it just looks, it's the same levels and everything?
I believe so. Yeah, the same levels are 2 players. It's just also because it's Genesis, it doesn't have as many colors. So yeah, it just looks nicer. It's just the better graphics. And I'm sure there's like minor other things that I'm leaving out, but for the most part, if you played both of them, you'd be like, yeah, like, it looks nicer, but this one has better music. Because it's, like I said, it's the same songs, but they're done like CD tracks. They just sound better.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and it's one of those soundtracks too, where like some people, I'm sure, listen to it. You just need to get you just need an ISO of the Sega CD game, and you can go and pull those tracks.
With all the Street Fighter playing that I've done, I'm surprised I've never really I don't think I've ever played all the way through Final Fight, which I really should.
I beat the first one, and then I'm more of a Streets of Rage person, so I played through all the first 2 Streets of Rage games as well. And I bring it up because in case you don't know, Streets of Rage literally was made by Sega to compete against Final Fight. It's like literally an admitted clone to the game. So
yeah,
they're both great beat 'em ups. If anything, I would love to have seen that Streets of Rage ever got brought over to the arcade. I'm surprised that Sega never thought of that. Because if you're going to compete with them, you might as well compete with them wholeheartedly.
Well, yeah, I think they want to compete with them more at home and be the home.
Also the fact that like Sega wasn't getting Final Fight until the Sega CD came out, and it had probably Nintendo probably either had an exclusive hold on it, or Capcom just didn't have confidence in the Genesis. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Sega decided, well, if you won't do it, we'll do it, and we'll do a better version of it, and that's why Streets of Rage 2 is like just awesome. All right, dude.
Okay, so I think we're going to do this a little bit differently at this point. Let's just get the 2 big ones out of the way. Ben, Resident Evil.
Resident Evil?
Yeah, we already know the Resident Evil differences.
No, do you mean like...
I do.
Okay, I was just going to say, do you talk about like the remakes included? Is it every game in the series, or only...
Everything remakes and re-releases, whatever you feel like you want to talk about, because I definitely have feelings on that are kind of interesting.
This might be because this is where I played a lot of them, but I think a lot of them played better on the GameCube.
Okay.
But it might have just been because that's where I played them first. Because I never was into Resident Evil, and not because I didn't like it, because I just never got around to playing it. And I played it when they were on the GameCube, and that's why I fell for the series, is when it was on the GameCube. So... Because I played through the remake of I played through Final Fantasy Zero. I keep saying Final Fantasy. Resident Evil. I'm foreseeing the future. Resident Evil. I've played through Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, and I played all of them except for Code Veronica. I played all of them on the GameCube.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Code Veronica, I played that on. The hell did I play that on? I played that on a PlayStation 4.
Wow. Okay.
As because I subscribed to that PlayStation, that PSN, their online streaming gaming service. I subscribed to that for a year,
Mhm.
and I won't do that again because online streaming gaming isn't really there yet. It's getting closer, but it's still not really there. Yeah, so that's where I played it. So yeah,
So Resident Evil for me,
yeah.
I mean, I started back in the PlayStation days on Resident Evil, and this is what's interesting. When you talk about Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and let's just say Code Veronica, I prefer the initial versions of them. I think that with Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, um, even with the GameCube remake of Resident Evil 1, it feels like it lost that B horror style that is absolutely necessary to it. That whole cheesy horror, because of the fact that it doesn't, to me, feel like it's a true horror game, because you're already a pretty beefy character to begin with, being that you're in this special division. Whereas it takes something like Silent Hill, where you're just an average person, and that works when you really want to get into strong psychological horror. But with Resident Evil, it has to have that cheese level. And I think they started wiping that out when they moved it to GameCube, and then especially with the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 recently. However, I do prefer the remake of Resident Evil 4 over the original Resident Evil 4, both on GameCube and PlayStation 2, because I think they made it too stupid cheesy and made it too un-Resident Evil when it came out initially, whereas the Resident Evil 4 brings it back to kind of a horror feel. It still kind of has that cheesy vibe to it, but that it needs, but it doesn't have the stupidity of like running away from a boulder Indiana Jones style. So that's kind of interesting, because I don't like 4, and that's what ruined it. But then you get to the remake, and I actually like 4 again. And that came around the time as you know, you also had Revelations 2 that was a handful of years before, that also the same thing, where it has that cheese level, but it's also more modernized, and that comes out being fine because it carries that cheese level. So it's kind of a weird flip-flop in the Resident Evil series. But anything after that, we've already discussed, is not really worth it.
Yeah. We already discussed this game in depth.
Exactly. So that brings us to the next big name, Ben. Final Fantasy. Any feelings on any of those different versions or remakes? Because that one's got a lot of them.
I like the improvements that you get with some of the older ones when you play them, like the remakes that they had on the PlayStation, at the PS1, and then I guess I haven't really played much with the Pixel, was it the Pixel Masters or whatever the
Pixel Remaster?
yeah, the Pixel Remaster. So I don't know how much compared to that one. I've only played like the first Final Fantasy game all the way through on multiple platforms, and then that one, like I think I like this Pixel Remaster one. But yeah, I don't have a lot of like and then Final Fantasy X. I like playing on the PlayStation 4 and on the Xbox One because of, again, the improvements, and well, first of all, the graphic fidelity is better, and also just like life improvements like that weren't available when the PlayStation 2 version came out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's the same game. They just cleaned it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I other than that, you have way more experience with Final Fantasy than I do. So
okay, yeah. So Pixel remasters aren't bad. For Final Fantasy 1, I mean, if you really want to break it down, like, just off the top of my head, I played and beat the NES version, the PlayStation version, the Wonder Swan version, the Pixel Remaster, the PlayStation Portable version, the GameCube Advance version, and then also the PC, the Renaissance version, and I don't even know how many I've played and beat at this point. I do like the first one. I do the initial Final Fantasy on NES has a specific style to it that can't be beat, because when you get to PlayStation, the PlayStation version and on, it becomes more traditional cartoony 16-bit RPG feel to it. It loses that style that the initial NES version had because of the NES version limitations. But being said, the NES version is problematic because of ineffective, which is probably the most annoying thing to ever exist in any Final Fantasy game. However, I still feel like I would take it over the majority of the Final Fantasy remakes. Pixel Remastered does a good job of feeling like the two of them put together. It's just really easy. Which is fine there's nothing wrong with having it easy, because you can still have fun. Especially because I'm a grinder and I like to grind anyway to be overpowered. This just means I get to grind less. But they did a really good job. Final Fantasy IV is another one that affects me with all the remakes, because honestly, I still prefer the Super NES version. People call it, it's Final Fantasy Easy type, which is not. It's the USA version, because Japan did get an easy type that even changed more things. I guess probably because that was the first one that I played, was the Super NES version. And when I got to the PlayStation version, at that point, I started seeing the differences when every freaking thing had some sort of a counterattack. And it gets annoying and old really fast when you hit something and it automatically gets to hit back. So that's my big problem with that. Now, if you get to the Pixel Remaster was, again, made the game easier, but I believe it kept the counters in, so it had a better balance overall of being not as annoying. So that's a good way to go as a Pixel Remaster. The other one that I have specific feelings on is Final Fantasy VII. Because that one definitely has differences when you look at the PlayStation version and the PC version versus the remake that they're doing now, which I'm going to be full honest when I say this. I have not played the Final Fantasy remake, but the thing is, I know I don't want to play the Final Fantasy VII remake because I know how it plays, and it's completely ruined in the way that it plays to me. It's not turn-based. I choose actions for everybody. It has a lot of the computer choosing the actions for me for other characters, and I don't like that loss of control. So I'm not even going to touch that one. So those are my takes on Final Fantasies. So now that we got through the big ones, we got that out of the way, let me start with the first one that's not Final Fantasy or Resident Evil related, which is going to be Strider. I don't know how many versions of Strider you played, Ben, but you've got the arcade version of Strider, and then you've got the Genesis version, which is just like the arcade version. But then there's a NES version. And the NES version is actually very different than the two of them. The NES version, instead of being just a side-scrolling action game, it's more of an adventure game where you have to go to different locations and you have to return to locations, getting items and rescuing people. And I absolutely love it. And it was one of those games that I don't know if I mentioned it on that Comfort Games episode, but if I didn't, I should have, because this was a game I just sit down like at least like once a week, and just it only took like an hour to beat it. I just play through it on NES. So if you haven't tried it, and you've only played like the Strider in the arcades or only played the Genesis Strider, I really recommend checking it out to see how different it actually is.
Yeah, I never played much Strider. I think I like played it for like a couple minutes just to play it, and then never like super got into it.
What version did you play?
Probably the Genesis.
Genesis. If you can, try the NES version.
All right.
Do this. Take like 5 minutes to play the Genesis version so that you're familiar with how the game plays, and then go to the NES version. And I mean, you'll see the difference super quickly.
Okay.
So. All right, Ben, you're up.
The Twilight Princess, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. It came out for the GameCube and it came out for the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And on the GameCube, Link was left-handed and you played with a controller.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Wii, Link is right-handed and you shake this stick around. One of them I preferred over the other. Okay.
Well, were you like to wiggle your stick while you played?
Yeah, it was the GameCube version was my preferred version, and at the time I was working for a GameStop, and I like literally had like I think I had a Wii, and I had the Wii version, and then I'm like, let me try the GameCube version, and I was because I worked there, I was able to rent it or borrow it or whatever you call it for free, and I ended up like the next day like trading in my Wii version to get the GameCube version. I'm like, I am not dealing with this nonsense of this stupid stick. And I still haven't beat Twilight Princess, but I got a lot further on the GameCube version because it was just easier for me to play.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's weird when like you prefer the older version or like the one that's on the older console. It doesn't happen too often, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think I had it on both, but I think I did more of the Wii just because it was kind of like, the Wii had that, it did have the motion sensor, which is kind of like a new experience, whereas the controller version is just like every other Zelda in the way it controls.
It was actually during that time is when I played all the Resident Evils. Because working at the game store, I was able to locate all of them because like 2 and 3 are fucking ridiculous. Are hard to find, and I happened to just be at a place where look what showed up. People would trade it in or it would come in on a shipment. And it was like, cool, here's 2, and then I would just sign in on the account.
Yep, exactly. I figured that was going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did that stuff all the time. Are you kidding me? It was like it was one of the things like as long as you don't tell on me doing it, I won't tell on you doing it. So,
yeah.
It's just the manager stepped in once in a while if it was like a hot title, but for used shit, he didn't give a shit. It was just for new stuff. Like when Halo 3 came out, we couldn't like keep copies aside. We couldn't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's my next one.
Okay. So, for me, let's talk one of my favorite games of all time, Street Fighter Alpha 3, because there's a whole lot of these ones. And actually, my favorite version of it, up until just recently, was the PlayStation Portable version. Because what happened was Street Fighter Alpha 3, of course, came in arcades and moved to PlayStation and Saturn. And then to Dreamcast. And when it moved from arcades to PlayStation and Saturn, I believe they added Junie and Julie as playable. Then it moved to Dreamcast, and they added like Guile and a couple other characters in, Evo Ryu or something. Then it gets to PlayStation Portable, and now you have this full massive roster. They added Eagle, Maki, Yoon, Ingrid. I feel like there's one more, but I'm not thinking who it is. So you got this huge roster of characters, and you can take into account you have 3 different versions of each character that you can choose from. And then there was an incident that happened with like Ingrid, because she was actually in a different fighting game where she got locked up, and then the whole thing got locked up, and the full roster stayed on the PSP version. They started re-releasing it, and you're getting just like the arcade version at this point, which is back to like 31 characters or something like this, not the full roster of like, I don't know, 40 or 42 or whatever it is. I don't even know anymore. But not until finally Capcom Fighting Collection 2, and we're talking like a year, I think, probably, they did an update that finally added it to the Alpha 3 Max character roster. So this was locked up. I mean, like PlayStation Portable Alpha 3 came out probably, I'm guessing around 2003 or 2004, whenever the PlayStation Portable was out. They were locked that long. So it's like I'm holding on to this PlayStation Portable stuff just for that game so I can play the full roster. So yeah, that's the only thing that sucks is that I think one of the anniversary editions added another ism, the I-ism into it, which was Alpha 3 isms, which now has been dropped. Which hopefully will come back, which would be really cool to have the full roster and have the 4 isms.
Oh, okay. I haven't played Alpha much, so I don't know. I played I think I played the most of it I played is over your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that.
Metroid Zero Mission, otherwise known as Metroid 1. I'm showing which version I prefer, and that would be Zero Mission for the Game Boy Advance. It has maps, and it's just improvements, graphic improvements. Just a lot of it is just like when it's a later version, like there's just like nicer stuff in there, like I said, like a map, a pause screen, so like whatever, or the ability to rewind, or maybe there's a save function that they add to these games later, and it just makes the game so much easier to get through. Because Metroid is ridiculously hard to do. You have to like map it out yourself, and now you don't have to. The map shows you what rooms you've been in, and you can't see where you haven't been yet. But once you've been somewhere, there's a record of it that you don't have to keep yourself. So,
okay.
All right. Did you play Metroid Zero Mission?
I'm going to agree and disagree with you on this one at the same time. Zero Mission really took the Super Metroid layout and moved it to Metroid in a very good way. Where I agree, you've got the maps, you can see where everything is, you can see where you are a lot easier, you know where you've been, whereas Metroid on NES, everything looked the freaking same. So it was so easy to get lost in Metroid. For that, Zero Mission is way better. But Zero Mission is, I think we had this topic, which was that one thing in games that destroys it. And I believe I threw out Zero Mission because when you get past what was Metroid and you beat Mother Brain, there's that next section, which is the stealth section. And that's pure garbage. And that's like I might actually want to play Metroid Prime over Metroid Stealth, because I'm not a big fan of stealth games. So if you take that out, I 100% agree with you. If you leave that stealth part in, no thank you.
Also, there's the different versions of Metroid 2. There's another Metroid clone or something like that. I forget the name, the actual name of it, but I played that one all the way through, and that was actually really good.
Yeah.
And then I played some of the Nintendo official remake of Metroid 2. And so that one, I actually prefer the unofficial remake.
Okay.
Did you play Did you play that one?
I think I played the unofficial. I don't think I played the official.
Yeah, the official one. I forget what that was on.
It probably Switch.
No, I think it might have been on Wii U or something like that, or one of the portable systems. Yeah, I think it's been a while since I played all these, so my memory ain't too good on it. Probably Wii U though. The Wii U seemed to be like my Metroid system. I played all the Metroid games on it. It had the virtual store, and with it, and you could play like. You could actually play some games like on that stupid tablet thing. That was the death nail for that thing with that stupid tablet. You had to have it in order to use the system, and it's like it was like the Kinect that killed the Xbox One. So
yeah,
I did enjoy the unofficial one. I had to play it on my computer, but I thought it came out pretty well. There was like it had a glitch here or there, but it didn't take away from the fun of it. And it was much better than playing it on a Game Boy screen with, no map.
Yeah. I've done that.
Yeah, I played the Game Boy one after I played the unofficial remake of it because I knew I'm not going to enjoy it.
Okay. So I remember playing the Game Boy version flying to New York. Way back in the day. Like, I don't know, 90s, like late 90s. So it was good back then because we didn't have all like the advancements that the series now has. So I was kind of used to it at that point. But yeah, the remake version, the unofficial remake, that version's actually really good.
What's it called? Like not
Another Metroid Saturn or something like that.
They got another Metroid remake or something like that. Yeah, I forget the name of it. But if you look up like, I mean, you play around on Google enough, you can find it.
Yeah, or I could probably figure it out pretty quick because
I think Nintendo tried to take it down. So the guys, I think they stopped developing it and they stopped releasing it on their official channel. But by then, it was so widespread that it's findable. You could find it.
It's another Metroid 2 remake.
That's what it is. Another Metroid 2 remake. Yep.
Yeah.
So that highly recommend that if you are going to get into the Metroid series, especially I would lead up to Super Metroid because it's so good. I would say, start with the Metroid Zero Mission, then play another Metroid 2 remake, and then play Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could number one, they'll give you all the backstory, and number two, you'll see just how good Super Metroid is.
Really, Super Metroid.
It's
insane how good it was.
It's still like, I mean, I have the one for the Switch, and I'm kind of stuck on it.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows how much better the Super Metroid is. Like, could I even play the other one on the Game Boy, the one where Evil Samus was hunting you?
Fusion,
yeah, I played Fusion and I beat that one, and it's still not as good as Super Metroid.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I've beat Metroid. I beat Metroid 2. I beat Fusion. I beat Zero Mission. And I beat Super Metroid a lot of times. And that's really what it comes down to is I think I've only beat the first Metroid once. I beat Metroid 2 once. I beat the remake once. I beat Zero Mission. I might have beat Zero Mission a couple times. I beat Fusion once, but Super Metroid just keeps getting played and played and played. And I think I was down to the closest I got was beating it within like an hour and 37 minutes in time. Or something like that.
Metroid Samus Returns is the official Nintendo remake of Metroid 2, which I don't remember. If I did play it, I didn't play much of it. I don't think I beat it because once I realized it was kind of like, once I started hitting the same story beats as not another Metroid 2 remake, I'm like, okay, I saw enough of this to know that I prefer the other one, and I know that it's gonna, like, I already beat it in my head.
Yeah.
Like, like I don't need to beat this. I beat the other version of the same game. So. Yeah, Metroid 2 has like the most amount of remakes out of all of them. It looks like Metroid is like it's one of their franchises they don't pay a lot of attention to. Like all of a sudden, like they'll do a Metroid game and then you won't see another Metroid game for like ever.
Exactly.
And I don't know if they don't, maybe they don't have any ideas for it, or they're so hard to make and they have to put so much into it. But they do these Zelda games where they have these puzzles. So it's not that. You're just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't. Yeah, it's a, and I think that kind of makes it a bigger series in that if they're not pumping the games out like there are Mario games, so it makes people want it, and then so when the one comes out, it's a bigger deal.
Yeah. I'm looking through here and let's see, there's a lot of games in the series.
Yeah.
But not as many as you would get for like Mario or Zelda. Whereas like Mario, there's a million of them. If you go through and you want to play every single Mario game, well, I hope you got nothing to do for the next year.
Yeah.
Just if you want to 100% them all, you're going to be playing for a while. If you want to do all the Metroid games, take like a month off. I mean, you'll get through them all. Because there's not many of them.
Take a month off with like maps and hint guides, because if you don't, then it might not be a month. It might be a little bit longer, because some of those you can get still pretty lost easy.
Yeah. And then there's also ones you might want to skip, like with the Metroid Other M and all that. I never played those.
Or the whole Metroid Prime series.
Yeah, the Metroid Prime series, it's like if you're really a huge fan of Halo and you want a Nintendo Halo, well, here you go. But otherwise, if you don't, then...
On that note, I'm going to move to my next one.
Is it Halo?
Mine is not just one first-person shooter. It's every first-person shooter that has a PC version and a console version. Avoid the console version. And the reason why is I can't stand playing PC shooters on anything but a mouse and keyboard. I can't stand doing them on controllers. But with that being said, I also want to throw in Elder Scrolls, like Elder Scrolls 3. I prefer that on a console over a PC because it's not pinpoint accuracy with the shooter. So when you talk like Halo or Doom or any of those, it has to be the PC version. But Elder Scrolls works better, not the PC version.
Elder Scrolls, okay. Good to know if I ever decide to go and play Elder Scrolls. I don't particularly think I'm going to, but
it's one of those that I like playing, and then it's a whole open world thing. I like the fact that I can do anything, but then I realize I can do anything, so I don't really know what I want to do, and it just gets boring at that. I don't have any sort of direction.
Yeah.
So. All right, Ben?
I have a couple in mind, but I'm going to go and do Miss Pac-Man on the Genesis.
Huh, okay.
I've played that, and I played the arcade one, and I think that the Genesis one is just nicer to have the controller in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real difference between the two other than that. The graphically, they're about the same.
Mm-hmm.
There are differences, obviously, but, for the most part, it's pretty much the same. And then just to have versus the joystick versus having a controller, I play better with a controller in my hand.
Okay.
And like I said, because the Nintendo version doesn't look as well, it doesn't look as good as the Genesis version. The Genesis version is like an arcade, well, as far as I can tell, an arcade perfect version of Miss Pac-Man, outside of like there's no insert quarter graphic or anything.
And that's the thing, is that each time to get better the joystick, you had to pay money, whereas with getting used to gamepad, I mean, that was just standard because it's all you're using at home.
Yeah.
Not many people are buying sticks were buying sticks back then for video games.
Like back in the day when I had my Genesis, Miss Pac-Man was in the collection. And I remember like finding it at the store and kind of thinking, well, I have to have a version of Pac-Man. Actually, I was looking for regular Pac-Man. I didn't want Miss Pac-Man, but I didn't know how good Miss Pac-Man was at the time.
Yeah.
Because it actually is a superior version of Pac-Man. And unfortunately stuck in a bunch of big legal quagmire, which if people want to know, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can make it a segment one day. But yeah, it's Pac-Man. It's just a better version of Pac-Man with better levels and better enemies, and it's a better game. They perfected the they perfected the Pac-Man formula pretty much.
Mm. All right, so I'm gonna throw out my last one here.
Oh, also, whenever we go to the coin op place, the Miss Pac-Man machine doesn't work. So another strike against it.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna throw out my last one here. Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night. There's actually quite a bit of there's quite a bit of versions of Symphony of the Night. But my favorite is a Nocturne in the Moonlight version, which is a Saturn version. The problem is the Saturn version isn't as pretty. It obviously because it's Saturn's limitations. And also the Saturn version technically was never translated, but I mean, I played enough to know off of like the icons and selecting the weapons and what's best. The Saturn version also has to get to the map is a little more annoying because you actually have to pause the game and then press another button and let the map load and then get out of the pause screen and go back, which is if you're trying to 100% the castle, it could drive you nuts in those areas where you have to, like either do the ceiling jump or you have to turn to a bat to push yourself up, or whatever to get those little specific areas. But it does have 2 new areas. And I think the 2 new areas blend in very well to the game to where it feels like they should have been there to begin with. And this comes down to the fact that it's just bonus content. And sometimes bonus content makes something a whole lot better. Sometimes it feels unnecessary and kind of ruins it. For Symphony of the Night, it didn't. So that's just kind of my take.
Yeah, I had Symphony of the Night. I have it on actually I have multiple copies. I have on the Xbox a version that's pretty much the PlayStation version, but except it's got like it's enhanced a little bit. And then there's the version that I played, which was on the PlayStation 3, which is the PlayStation 1 version emulated on the PlayStation 3. So it's the original version. And then I think I have it on my PlayStation 4 as part of the Rondo of Blood as a package. It's only exclusively on PlayStation 4/5. So it's one of the reasons I have to have a PlayStation, because it's like one of the 10 games that I only have that's only available on that.
You actually just brought up a good point now that you mentioned that, because I think Rondo of Blood, they brought Dracula Chronicles, which was Rondo of Blood, and then they included Symphony of the Night and it was on PSP. And the Nocturne in the Moonlight version, the Saturn version, includes Maria, which the PlayStation version didn't have. It had Alucard and Richter. When they moved it to PSP and brought Maria into that one, they changed the way she attacks. And she didn't have all the cool spells that she had in the Saturn version. So she just became the super weak, boring character. So that would be another reason why I preferred the Nocturne in the Moonlight, is because Maria, which is basically my favorite Castlevania character of all.
So your favorite character in your favorite series shares the same name as your wife?
Yes.
That is so romantic. You should tell her that.
Well, I already did. That's why I had her legally change it when she was originally Guadalupe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hope somebody did a spit take on that. It's like listening in their car. What did he just say?
Exactly.
All right, so I guess I'm doing the last one. That doesn't happen too often when we're talking games. Okay, so one of my favorite games ever is Aerobiz. Aerobiz is available on the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and several years later was redone for the PlayStation. The PlayStation version has CE sound. It has better graphics. It has better animations. It's completely in Japanese.
Yep.
So there's that problem. So now you got the Genesis version up against the Super Nintendo version. The Super Nintendo version has these shortcut keys. They have extra there's extra buttons on the controller, and they take advantage of them, allowing you to do a lot of stuff that you normally have to go through a menu on the Genesis version to do. You just do with a push of a button.
Yeah.
And you would think that would make it the better version. Also, it's got a Sony sound chip with all these great samples. Well, geez, what's the better version? The Genesis one is a way better version. The music's way better. It's the same songs, but they just sound better. You don't need all those extra buttons. This is not a fast-paced game. You are a CEO running an airline, and you have as much time as you want to do anything. Who cares if you have to press 2 buttons instead of pressing 1? The music alone just makes it a better experience. I played them both. A couple years ago, I was trying to capture footage of. In fact, I still have all this footage somewhere of Aerobiz on all 3 systems, and I was just like, after playing all 3 of them, I'm like, I just prefer the Genesis one. Number one, I could understand it. If I knew Japanese or the PlayStation one was in English, I probably would prefer that one because it is a better presentation and has better music and everything. But the language barrier just automatically eliminates it, unfortunately. Even though I do have a copy of it, but it's actually the only PlayStation 1 game I actually have a physical copy of. But the Genesis one is just the way the Yamaha synthesizer sounds with the music and everything. And then when you get to part 2 and they had that ripoff of the Eric Clapton song "Tears in Heaven," if you don't believe me, folks, if you got an emulator and you got a bunch of ROMs and you got Aerobiz Supersonic, throw that boy in there, and I believe it's either in the North America or it's in Europe. I forget which one, but that's when in that game, depending on what region you're in, each region had its own theme song. In one of them, it's "Tears in Heaven." They probably don't call it that, but it's "Tears in Heaven."
It's funny because I thought when you were talking about this, when you said Aerobiz, and you know, PlayStation has a better version, but it's just in Japanese. I was thinking, well, who cares? You're just a bat. Because I was thinking you were talking about the Acrobat or whatever.
Oh yeah, no. This was like a platformer. Who cares? But this is a game where you need to read and make decisions, and it'd be like if you played a role-playing game. Like if you were playing, actually, it's the same company. It's from the same company that did Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I don't know if you ever played that. But it's like if you played Romance of the Three Kingdoms and the whole thing was in Japanese. Unless you know Japanese, you can't play this game.
Yeah. I wonder if now ROM hacking has a ROM where somebody did translate it.
I wonder, because if I can get it on PlayStation translated, I might play through it again. Because it is a fun game. You learn business. You learn... I mean, it's not like the most in-depth business game. You won't come out of this and be like, who's a big business guy that hasn't been arrested or in the Epstein files. Well, let's just say you won't be like a tycoon. You won't come out of here knowing how to do the stock market, but you will learn a thing or two about business. It's the same thing as if you play a card game, you'll learn better math. You're gonna learn while you're playing this. It's not a college level course.
So Ben, I have a little bad news.
Okay.
Because one just popped in my head that I cannot believe I forgot. So you might not be the last person this one.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I'm on Retron's website. I'm on Hyperkin's website looking at the Retron, the Mega Retron HD, because I know it works with the flash cards. And I'm like, do I want to jump into Genesis again? I know what's going to happen. I'll buy it. I'll play with it for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to have to find a way to sell it. And I'll take a huge loss on it. It happens every time. All right, Mike, you got one more.
Okay. Dan, what's my favorite game of all time?
Persona.
Bingo. Persona has multiple versions.
Oh,
When you mentioned Aerobiz being all in Japanese, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot Persona, because I have all the versions. There was the original PlayStation version, there was the Japanese version, and PlayStation version, and then they re-released it for PlayStation or PlayStation Portable. So, just to kind of go over it, Persona has 2 quests, and there's a point where you can branch off into the second quest rather than doing the first quest, and you only do 1 quest. So you could play through the game and do the main quest, and then start over again and play the secondary quest, and then at the end of that ends the game. So it's like 2 games in 1. What happened was they were in a rush to get it to market in the US, and they only had translated a portion of the second quest. So they got the idea, let's just remove the trigger that takes you into the second quest on the US version. So there's a massive difference right there between the 2 of them on PlayStation. They re-released on PlayStation Portable finally in English with the second quest. And they restored it to what was the original storyline. So you have a really bad, janky PlayStation storyline with specific translations that aren't accurate. Then you have the PlayStation that the Japanese version was based on that contains the same quest that's all in Japanese. And then you had the PlayStation Portable version, which is now both quests in it in English with the proper translation, running a lot faster than it did on the PlayStation version, because Persona is kind of a slow game. So as it sounds, there's no reason not to go with the PlayStation Portable version. So I was in a dilemma because I have, like I mentioned, I have all 3. When I say have all 3, I played all 3. And it all started when I played through Persona on PlayStation, absolutely loved it, but wanted to do the Snow Queen quest, which is second quest. My only option at that time really was to buy the Japanese version. So I had like all these pages and stuff of every, like, the spells and the names translated to what they were in the PlayStation version. Well, that really slowed the game down even more just for me to play it, because whenever I wanted to use a Persona, I have to pull up the sheet of paper with that person on it to figure out what their spells were. So when the PlayStation Portable version came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is I can finally do this, because okay, I gotta take a step back. I gotta explain something. There is a Game Shark code on the PlayStation version and in Nintendo, in North America version, that you can get into this quest. And I did that, and they said, oh, we don't think there's a time limit. So I grinded like crazy, and I found out there is a time limit to where you auto game over. That also led me to get the Japanese version, and I started racing through it, but I still had to do all these translations. Now I'll get back to the PlayStation Portable version, where I'm like, this is perfect. I can finally do it. But I didn't. And the reason being is because the translation was not my translation. Ironically, let's talk Transformers again, because this is the best way I can describe this. Imagine that you've been watching Transformers for a good majority of your life, and then they announced they're coming out with a DVD set where they're finally getting it translated how it should, where you get to watch Ultimus Prime of the Revobots battle Monstertron of the Deceptoids. All of a sudden, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, not except the Transformers, the narrative started in the US and was
Well, this is just an example,
yeah.
just to kind of give you an idea. That's what I ran into with this PlayStation version. And there's also reasons why I like the PlayStation version, and that it doesn't feel as... I can see why they did it, because they took, for example, there's a persona that's Bard in the North America version. And he kind of looks like a warrior, but they changed the name of it to Bard. He wasn't Bard in the actual translation. You'll know who this is, Ben. The translation was Baal. Because Persona, they took a lot of mythological creatures and religious and folklore names and put them in to be, you know, your different types of personalities. So you have things like you have Vishnu, you have Beelzebub, you have all of these different things from different religions, but they couldn't do that really in the North American version, so they changed the names so it doesn't sound as bad to me. And that was another thing that I had to put up with, was name changes. And like, I don't really want to go walking around having Baal in me. That doesn't sound very fun to me. So that's another big thing. And also they corrected the names of the spells. So rather than being like ice, it was back to Bufu and stuff like that, which is fine. I knew those, but it still just didn't feel right. So recently I was at a dilemma because I never beat the Snow Queen quest. And I sat there and I'm like, okay, there's 3 ways I can do this. I can play the Japanese version. I can play the North American PlayStation version without any sort of translation, without any sort of story. It's all going to be just gibberish. Or I can play the PlayStation Portable version that will tell me the story. And I'll just have to put up with the corrected, accurate translation for everything. And I made my decision. And I chose to play the North American PlayStation version with no story in the Snow Queen quest and went all the way through it. And I don't want to play either of the other versions because of those reasons.
All right. That was a long episode.
That was pretty long, yeah. I thought we could get that early because I didn't think I had that many, but you know, it is what it is. We're ending at our normal time.
Are we? I guess we are. And we are.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the music right now. Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we wrap it up?
I think that's about it. So we'll see you guys in March.